Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about the top 5 most emotional moments in gaming for me. Now, did the moments all make me cry in the games that I'm going to mention today? I can honestly say no, they did not, but they, brought me pretty close. And it goes without saying with some of the games that I'm going to mention today is that I do have to go into significant spoilers for each game, so definitely be aware of that and fast forward where you need to. Now, the first thing that I actually want to talk about is not actual a moment from a game, but it is a gaming related memory. And so about 2 years ago, the Final Fantasy Distant Worlds concert came to my state. It was about 2.5 hours away. And if my wife wasn't like 8 months pregnant at the time, I definitely would have, brought her along and dragged her along to that. But I didn't. But the next year, it did come back to my state, and it was just like 15 minutes down the road. So I was definitely going. So if you don't know what the Final Fantasy Distant Worlds concert is, it's basically they take a local orchestra and play a lot of songs from all the Final Fantasy games. And if you're a Final Fantasy fan, then it's basically a no-brainer to go. Now, we ended up going. It's really interesting to go because you see people who are dressed up in suits and really nice, clothes for a night out. And then also they're sitting next to people who are, cosplaying as Tifa or Lightning or something. Now, we get to our seats, the musicians are practicing on stage. They've got the Final Fantasy Distant Worlds logo on the screen. And the concert begins. And what song did they begin with? The Prelude. Right? Of course, if you're going to start the concert, then you're going to play the song that starts so many Final Fantasy games. And on the screen, they have all these cinematics playing from each game, going chronologically through all the games. And it's really cool. It's kind of like you're being taken back in time through all the games. And with each video that you see, you kind of are taken back to when you played the game, to where you were in life, and just a really cool beginning to the concert. Now, after a bit of the instruments, there's a choir that kicks in, and I think that's where it really got me. I don't know, it was just a really cool moment, and I think everybody in the room felt that at that point. Now, I told my wife later, I was telling her, oh man, I was getting a little choked up at that time. And how many times have you started a Final Fantasy game and just paused on the title screen? I know I definitely did it with Final Fantasy VII Remake. The first time that I played it, I just let it play and just kind of soaked in the moment, getting ready to play the game. You don't know what you're going to get into. So, I don't know, I just thought that was a pretty fun memory. A nice honorable mention for the list. Now for the official list. Number 5 on the list is from The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, the story in Tears of the Kingdom, it might not have been perfect the way that it was executed. I know there's a little bit of controversy about the memories not necessarily being in order when you find them around Hyrule. But I think the last dragon tier was, I think it was the payoff that we all wanted. There's a certain amount of build-up to the final memory, and you kind of have an idea about what's going to happen. You just don't know how it's going to play out, what it's going to look like. But we just get the sense that Zelda has, she's accepted her mission, and she knows what she has to do to help Link defeat Ganondorf. And that is, she needs to turn into a dragon to power up the Master Sword again. At the same time, when you realize that she's going to turn into a dragon, you know that she can't go back from being a dragon. Like they say in the game, she has to lose herself, and there's no going back. So she's essentially giving up anything that her and Link could have ever had, and it's just basically an ending to their relationship, or whatever their relationship is. And she's the one who's choosing to do it, so that's kind of upsetting. And so she's sitting there thinking about swallowing the stone, and she finally does it. But then when she did it, I had this quick thought like, oh, I think she regrets it because it seems like something's going wrong when the transformation starts. But, we see her eyes change into the dragon eyes, and she goes up into the sky. The tears come down, and, you can kind of sense that there's a a lot of sadness going on there. I think she realizes at that point she can't come back, but she's accepting her mission. So you finally come back from the memory and you're on this spiral island and you're surrounded by all the Silent Princess flowers. And I don't know, to me it kind of felt like she was there in spirit with you, but also it was kind of a funeral. Those were the vibes that I got, was funeral vibes. And so that was definitely an emotional ending to that part of the story. Now, number 4 is kind of an obvious one. It's from Final Fantasy VII, the original game. And again, obviously everyone knows the big event, the death of a certain character. And so that's no shock there. But to me, that shock of the death, combined with the fact that you just go right into battle immediately, like that really threw me for a loop. And the music that plays, it's just very eerie, the whole battle. And it kind of gave me this feeling like the battle was kind of pointless, like because it was very sad. And I mean, does it matter if you win? Does it matter if you lose? And I just think that the effect that that song has, I think it's amplified by the fact that it never stopped playing through all the events. There's like, it starts at the death, it goes through the battle, and then even through the burial or whatever you would call it. I think it just doesn't give you a chance to catch your breath. And I think that's why the song is so powerful when you hear it, because you go through the whole range of emotions of everything that just happened. Now, number 3 on the list is, it's another easy one. It's another obvious moment in a game. And I'm a late arrival to this game, honestly, and I haven't even finished it, despite how old it is and how many times it's been released, especially recently. And that game is The Last of Us. You know, the way the game starts, where it's the middle of the night and you're trying to escape with your daughter, and you know, there's these people chasing you, it's just really intense, right? I think it's one of the most memorable starts to any game, right? And the sounds of the people chasing you, and it's just really creepy. And you finally get to safety, to this soldier, and you let your guard down, thinking, like, even though he has a gun, it's not like he's gonna shoot you. I mean, especially because you have your daughter with you. That's the last thing that's gonna happen here. And you hear him on the radio, and he says, you know, oh, there's a little girl, so I shouldn't shoot. But you hear him get the orders to shoot them anyway. And so you know, he fires the shots, you realize, oh, you're not injured, you breathe another sigh of relief, and you find out that it was actually your daughter that was shot. I think that what makes the scene so powerful is that the title, when it just abruptly appears, I think it just hits you, again, when you have your guard down, it just comes out of nowhere. And I think it has a really, really powerful effect. On top of the fact that you just started this game, and this is supposed to be the introduction, like this is supposed to be the tutorial where you would normally just learn what the controls are, for example. And all of this combines just to, you know, start off the game with a really emotional and powerful event, which I think everyone who has played the game remembers how they felt when they first started this game. It's definitely up there for everyone. Now, when I was thinking of this list and the games that I would include, for some reason I forgot about this game, this moment. And it comes from the game Stray. And this was a moment that when I was playing the game, you know, you're having fun, you're this little cat, it's just fun. I didn't think that it would have a really emotional or powerful moment. Now, of course, there's the little scene at the beginning where the cat, you know, jumps on the pipe and he falls down this giant pit. And it's sad, but it's a cute sad, right? That's what cats are. Cats, even when they do sad things and fall, you know, they're gonna be okay because they're cats. But the moment that I'm thinking of, it happens at the end of the game. B12, your robot companion that's been with you the whole time, you know, he's going to hack these machines so you can open up the ceiling or the roof and get to the surface. And you're under the impression that he's going to bring the memories to the surface, because that's what he says on your way there. Now, not until he's done hacking the last machine do you realize that even though he was saying that you are going to go to the surface together, you're actually not going to. I think he says right before the last machine that it's taking too much out of him and he doesn't really know how much longer he can go. And so it's kind of the same thing as the other games that I've mentioned, where you have this build-up where you think that it's going to be a happy ending. Like, okay, we finally made it to the surface, we're gonna leave and we'll have a happy ending. and then they just drop you, right? They take a turn. And so, again, hacking all the machines or short-circuiting them, whatever he's doing, kills the robot. He falls to the ground, and the cat comes over and does a little nudge. And, he curls up next to it. And I don't know, I think it hit me a little bit because I have 2 cats, and I always think about what's going to happen when one of them dies. Like, how is the other cat going to express its sadness in its own little cat way? But I guess there is a happy ending. I know a lot of people didn't really love the ending, but I think when the roof opens and the sun is shining, you see the sky, I do think it's still a good ending in its own way. And now for my number 1 moment, and it is from the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I have to go back to the Final Fantasy Distant Worlds concert to tell a little bit of a story about why I remembered that this was my most emotional moment. During the concert, they mentioned that they had recently got permission to do music from Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I was kind of just wondering, what song are they going to play that wasn't just a redone version from the original? And actually, they did do the Honeybee Inn song, which was really cool. But the song that they ended up playing was Jessie's theme. And it's the song that plays during my number 1 most emotional moment, and it's the death of Jessie. And now I have played the original, and I know that when you're going up the pillar, when they're going to drop the plate, that you do run into her when she's dying. But I guess I was just playing and I totally forgot about that. But in that scene, Tifa's there crying, and Jessie is asking, why is Tifa crying? Is it something I said? And then when he's trying to keep her alive, Cloud, he says, "You owe me a pizza," which is obviously where I got my channel name from. I just remembered getting to that point in the game and afterwards just putting my controller down, saving the game, and I'm like, I'm coming back to this later. I really remember that. I mean, you're not really too tied to Jessie, and I wasn't too tied to Jessie. Just going through that, and after the scene, you're standing there, there's fires burning all around you, and the music is playing, and you just have to keep going up the pillar. It was just, I had to take a break from the game. And I guess I would just always remember that as the point where I came this close. That's the closest I ever came to shedding a tear in a game. So that is my top 5 most emotional moments in gaming. What did you guys think? Do you agree with any of those? Did you disagree with any of those? Let me know down below, and I will see you in my next video.